y'all! Just jumping in with a very quick video about some books because I had a big rearrange of all my bookshelves recently as I was kind of redoing this whole office area. And you know, when you fill your bookshelves and you finally get everything in place, it feels really good. So I always have to go and ruin it by buying more books, as you do. And I figured I would just kind of like do a fun little video showing you some of the books that I've recently bought and or acquired because it was also just Christmas. Okay, so first up, let's start with this beautiful little book here that my sister-in-law got me for Christmas. It was actually really good this year because my siblings and our partners all decided instead of spending a fortune on presents for 5 people each, we would just do a little Secret Santa between us, which worked out really great, I thought. I ended up getting gifts for my brother, and my brother's wife ended up getting gifts for me, and so on, everyone else between them. And one of the things that Rachel, my sister-in-law, got me was this book, which is Mudlark'd, Hidden Histories from the River Thames by Malcolm Russell. Now, I've wanted to read this for a while, and she got me this absolutely gorgeous, beautiful hardback edition with some of the most beautiful photos in it. It's just absolutely gorgeous. There we go. I've wanted to read this ever since I read Laura Makelam's Mudlarking, Lost and Found on the River Thames. I have, since reading this, become really interested in reading the accounts of mudlarkers and all of the amazing things that they find. So if you don't know, mudlarking is basically, let me see if Laura gives a definition actually. Here we go. Mudlark is a person who scavenges for usable debris in the mud of a river or harbour. Now, it's quite an old term, but it's something that people still do today, and it's especially popular in London along the River Thames, although you do need a licence to do it, and it can be dangerous because of all the pollution that is in the Thames water, so you need proper protective gear to do it. This isn't just something that anyone can go out and do, although you can essentially mudlark on any riverbank or shore that you find, and it's about kind of finding these things that wash up on the shoreline. And what's really cool about it is you can get some amazing historic pieces, and that's what Laura writes. I'm calling her Laura, I'm sorry, Lara. What's wrong with me? That's what Lara writes about in her book Mudlarking, and it's what Malcolm writes and photographs a lot of in his book Mudlark'd. So what I really like about this book and why I want to read it is that not only does it have the most stunning photos of the Thames in here, the photography is by, actually who's the photography by? Yeah, a lot of the photography, especially the stuff on the Thames, are photos by Matthew Williams Ellis, and they are absolutely stunning. I love them. You guys might know I used to live in London, so I do have a little bit of a soft spot for the Thames, and I always like to go for a walk down there when I'm back in the city, and I feel like the photos in this book kind of really capture the whole atmosphere of the Thames and the history that is locked in that giant body of water. It's amazing. So what I really like about this book is that it's split up into sections based on, you know, obviously items that he's found, but based on the history of London. So there's items relating to, for example, criminals, enslaved people and immigrants, religion, or as he writes, believers, entertainers, queer folk, addicts, traders, fighters. And then within that, each kind of chapter is split up into other sections based on different types of people. So for example, strangers, black Georgians, smokers, gin drinkers, pilgrims, printers, fascists, and so on. And he goes through and tells you a little bit about the history of, let me try and show you, the history of London and the people in it, and how he has gone out and found items directly relating to this history, and how through these items we can learn so much about the people who lived in London. It is absolutely fascinating. I've only read little bits of this so far, but I can't wait to just sit down and just thoroughly engross myself in it. I feel like if you want something that's a little more easy to pick up sporadically, Mudlark'd is probably going to be the book for you, but if you would rather have something that reads almost like a novel of personal discovery, try Mudlarking. I'm very excited to read this though. And when I use the term novel for this, I don't mean it's fictional, I just mean that she kind of writes about her life, almost in a story-like manner, but everything in it is still non-fiction. So that's probably worth noting. And then these little beauties arrived today, and this is just a nice little haul of nature books that I've got myself. based on 3 of my absolute favourite topics of all time. This is Beetles of the World and Natural History, which is a beautifully, not illustrated, it's filled with photographs. It's quite a simple book, all about beetles, different kinds of beetles. It's got diagrams of things like their physiology. There we go, I was trying to find it. It's got lots of photos of different kinds of beetles. It's got information about how beetles live and die and reproduce and everything in between. And I just kind of, well, originally I was drawn to this because I thought the photos were so beautiful that it would inspire even more of my watercolour beetle paintings, because like look at the, you can't really see, look at the colours on these guys and their patterns and their shapes. It's so stunning, and I'm sorry, they're mating. Maybe I should blur that on YouTube, it's inappropriate. But yeah, even just like flicking through this, I saw so many beetles. I was just like, I want to paint that, and I want to paint that, and I want to paint that. So I feel like this is going to be both educational and an inspiration for art. So I'm very, very excited to, again, read this. I think this is one that I'm going to be able to like pick up sporadically and read a couple of pages of and then put it down, and then, you know, read a couple more pages and put it down, which is nice because sometimes that's what I need in between working really heavy projects where I don't have the mental capacity to sit down and read for like half an hour, but I need to just relax my brain a bit. Sometimes having a book like this where I can just sit down, read a few pages about beetles, relax my brain, and then go have a nap or something, you know, that's what I need. Speaking of beautiful illustrations and art inspiration, I got this new DK book about fungi, and I kind of originally wanted this because one of the artists who does the most stunning watercolour illustrations for this book is someone who I follow on Instagram, and I saw them promoting it and I was like, yes, I have to get this. It is stunning. I love this so much. And look at the spore prints, gorgeous, gorgeous. Oh, so this feels like it's going to be absolutely packed with information about all different kinds of fungi, and you know I'm fungi obsessed, so I'm very, very keen to dive into this. Look, identifying fungi, spores and spore prints. I love it. I did my first spore print this last year, and it was an experience. It was easier to get the actual print than I thought it would be. Didn't expect having to deal with so many bugs crawling out of it. That was unpleasant. There were these like little maggoty things at one point that came crawling out of the gills, and what I'd done is to try and kind of like protect it, because I wanted like a really detailed spore print, and I did some that were like, you know, an hour, 2 hours, whatever, and then this one I was like, I'm gonna leave it overnight and see what you know, is what comes out of it. The words aren't coming out. See what comes out of this mushroom. So I popped it on the piece of paper, put the mushroom down, positioned it, and then I put a bowl over it, and I'm so glad I did, because the next morning when I woke up I lifted the bowl off and there were all these little maggoty creatures making their way to the edge of the paper, and the only thing that had stopped them getting all over my dining table was the bowl. So I was like, oh my god. So I had to like really carefully like move the mushroom. The spore print was beautiful, and I had to so carefully carry this maggoty sheet of paper all the way through my house over onto the balcony, and then slowly shake them off over the edge without damaging the spore print. And I was like, oh my god, oh my god, because I didn't want maggots in my carpet so I couldn't spill them, but then I didn't want to damage the spore print by like, you know, wafting it around too much outside. It was a whole experience. Would do it again, definitely. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly how much new information is going to be in this book, because I have already got a lot of books about mushrooms and read a lot of books about mushrooms. I'm just trying to find where some of them are. Give you some recommendations. Here we go. So Q's The Magic of Mushrooms is fantastic. The Secret Life of Fungi by Elia Whiteley. Love that book. That's a fantastic little introduction that kind of really gets you hooked on the subject, makes you want to find out more, and it's beautifully written, and it's a short read as well, so you can get through it in a couple of days. This is the River Cottage Handbook on Mushrooms. This one's okay as an identifying guide. It's more aimed at edible mushrooms, which isn't really my thing, but it does have some beautiful photos and it is interesting, so I like it. But in terms of identifying guides, my favourite is this Collins Fungi Guide. I've also got a teeny tiny one as well where, oh, here is it now. I've also got a teeny tiny one, like it's a little white pocket-sized one that I always keep in my big waterproof coat pocket, so that if I'm out with Coobs I can just have a look and identify mushrooms on the go because I'm a nerd like that. And then finally, one of my other favourite mushy books is... Where are you, little mushy book? The one I'm looking for is actually from the same series as the next book I'm going to show you. Here it is, right in front of me. The Lives of Fungi. This again is a beautiful, beautiful book with tons of incredible photographs and illustrations, and it of course covers all kinds of fungi, so not just the mushrooms that we can see, but also other things that we don't really think of as being fungi but are, like lichens for example, and also the invisible world of fungi. It covers the uses of fungi, the dangers of some fungi. It talks about the symbiotic relationships between fungi and other living species. For example, most forests just simply wouldn't exist without fungi. It's fantastic. There are symbiotic relationships that fungi have with insects, and there are also, what's the opposite of symbiotic? You know the word I'm looking for? Parasitic, there we go. There's also parasitic relationships where sometimes fungi will use insects, kill the insects, and spread their spores that way. I've spoken about one of those before in one of my mushroom videos on my main channel, so I'll link that below if you are interested. I won't spoil it, but it was the inspiration for the creatures in The Last of Us, so there's some fun for you. But yeah, this is just a beautiful book full of amazing information, and it covers some really, really interesting mushrooms and how they relate to us and our world and our everyday life, and thoroughly recommend it. This one I'm hoping is going to have kind of similar information in here, but instead of having photographs, it has lots of beautiful watercolour illustrations and other illustrations, and I'm just, yeah, really, really excited to dive into this, and I think it's going to be great. The last book that I got in this mini haul that I kind of want to show you is again from the same series as this Life of Fungi one. I got the Lives of Octopuses because of course I did. You know how much I love octopuses, and again this is a book with the most beautiful, gorgeous photos and illustrations and information, and again I cannot wait to dive into this book. I'm going to use some of these photos as inspiration for my sketches to try and get better at sketching octopuses and other cephalopods, and I can't wait. I think it's going to be amazing. I think they're the most beautiful, wonderful creatures. They're so intelligent, they have so much social awareness. They're little aliens and I love them. I think they're bizarre and beautiful and silly and fun, and I love everything about octopuses, and I love reading about them as much as possible. If you do actually want some other recommendations, I don't have the copy of the book now because I've lent it to a friend to read, but my favourite book ever is Simon Montgomery's The Soul of an Octopus. It is stunning, it is beautiful, it will make you fall in love with the animals just like I did, like seriously. I also really recommend this book here. This is Octopuses, Squid and Cuttlefish, a visual scientific guide. This is just one of the most beautiful, gorgeous, information-packed books about octopuses and cuttlefish and cephalopods in general that I own. It is stunning. I have definitely used quite a few of these photos as references for paintings and sketches before, and I will continue to do so because this is fantastic. I'm hoping The Lives of Octopuses is going to be just as good. Simon Montgomery has another book coming out sometime this next year, I think, about octopuses as well. I have pre-ordered it, but I can't remember much about it off the top of my head right now. But when it comes out, I'm sure I will talk about it in a video. Do I have any other octopus book recommendations? Ah, okay. There's a couple here. So, Peter Godfrey Smith's Other Minds is about the octopus and the evolution of intelligent life. So it's not just about octopuses, but octopuses are a big feature, so that's a really good read. And then these two I've not had a chance to read yet, they're still on my to-read list. But this is Kraken, The Curious, Exciting and Slightly Disturbing Science of Squid by Wendy Williams. This one, again, it's more squid focused than octopuses, but all cephalopods are fascinating, so I'm keen to read that at some point. And then this, again, I'm very keen to read this because it has some of the like greatest little, I don't know if you can see, illustrations in here, as well as, you know, clearly packed full of information. But this is Monarchs of the Sea, The Extraordinary 500 Million Year History of Cephalopods by Dana or Dana Staff. And again, this is one I've not read yet, but it is on my to-read list. So I think they're the only octopus specific books I have here, but there is down here on the floor, you can't quite see, there are a ton of nature books. I love my nature books so much. I've got more up here, stuff like Blue Planet 2, Green Planet, lots of plant books over there, Life Story, Life in Cold Blood, Metazoa. Oh, Entangled Life, that's great again if you're interested in fungi and mushrooms. Yeah, but anyway, my point was gonna be, words are not happening today. I'm not very good at this unscripted video thing anymore. I haven't done this in a while. It's hard to get back into. But yeah, down in here, in a bunch of these nature books, there's a ton of stuff about octopuses, so I could be here all day if we're going to talk about them. But I think this is a good place to end this, because these are some of the latest books that I've got. These are some books that I'm very excited to read soon, and a couple of recommendations for you. So yeah, please let me know what you think down in the comments. If you like this video, please make sure you go and check out my main channel, where I do lots and lots of actual real in-depth book reviews. We're talking hours long things where we dissect it all sentence by sentence, and it gets very intense. But let's be honest, if you're here watching this, then you've probably already subscribed to my main channel. What can I say? But for now, thank you so much for watching. If you have any book recommendations for me, leave them down in the comments, and I'll see you again very soon. Oh, and sorry if Kyra's snoring again. I realise the phone really picks up a hell of a lot in this room, so I've ordered a second microphone that I can use specifically with my phone, which should be here 3rd of January. So we'll see how that goes, and that should make the sound on these little vlog type things a little bit better, because I figured for these quick short videos here on my channel, I'm just going to record on my phone. Makes it a little easier than just setting everything up. But yeah, see how things go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.